Hi, my name is Carlo Aragoncillo, and I am a Master of Business Administration student and military veteran here at Drexel University. I am the guest facilitator for this very special edition of the Power Lunch series on Dragon Network, Drexel's official online professional development community for students and alumni. I am really excited to be joined by Chris Diaz, a 2015 psychology graduate from the College of Arts and Sciences here at Drexel University, and also the former Chief of Staff to the Secretary of the Navy. We're looking forward to learning more about his career path and journey since attending Drexel. Chris, thanks for joining us.
It's a pleasure to be here, Carlo.
Hey, pleasure to catch up with you, brother. It really means a lot. Um, so I know you and I go way back. We're going to jump in here. I have a few talking points and questions for you. Uh, I just wanted to recognize you, Chris, for bringing me into the fold here in the Greater Philadelphia community, with the veteran community we have here. But also, really important to highlight your commitment to Drexel, and also how I don't know if I told you this. You influenced me to actually apply and attend Drexel University. I shared that with you a little bit earlier. But so, Chris, just jumping right into it. Uh, just wanted to know, can you tell us about your Drexel career story from graduation until now? And a two-parter, what were some key experiences that shaped your career along the way?
Sure. Well, let me see if I can think back that far back. My Drexel career started from a laptop that was hardwired in on an aircraft carrier in the middle of the Mediterranean. I knew that as my time in the Navy was going to come to an end, that I wanted to pursue education and I wanted to move back home to Philadelphia. And Drexel was the place that offered me the opportunity to do so. And so I had taken a couple of college courses from the aircraft carrier, the Harry S. Truman, while on deployment. And this stimulated my applying to Drexel. I got in and was accepted and was very much looking forward to returning home from that deployment. This would have been 2010-ish, and starting an academic experience in Philly at Drexel. Life, as it often does, threw a couple curveballs still. I was encouraged by a mentor in the Navy to consider changing the current job that I had in the Navy and going off and experiencing a new role in Afghanistan. And this was all because I had become interested in this field of psychology and had this wild idea of becoming a clinical psychologist one day. And so I actually had to defer my enrollment in Drexel by for about 2.5 years while I changed jobs, went through a number of different training schools, deployed to Afghanistan, and happened to be one of the fortunate ones that gets to come back from that experience. So that's the kind of start. Um, when I arrived at Drexel, I had left the military on a Friday and started school on a Monday. There was a culture shock, to say the least, whereby I was a 30-year-old junior undergrad with a bunch of very, very young students around me. This is not, this story is actually rather common for military veterans starting school. What I found immediately, though, that helped to ease that transition was a community led by Dr. Rebecca Weidensaw, of individuals who were committed to seeing student veterans succeed. And then the other student veterans throughout campus that I was quickly able to connect with and help support that transition, which for so many of us can be such a challenge. You asked about some of the key milestones that took place during my time at Drexel. Drexel was the formative place of my life. I will always hold that to be true. And when I was building this community of other fellow veterans throughout the campus, we found that there was a real opportunity to positively impact the view that the larger university, but also the city had on student veterans. How our experiences were an asset to society, and how our experience from deploying overseas, managing the most complex scenarios, can be brought to bear for business and medicine and law and policy, and all the aspects that we need leadership in the greater Philadelphia area is. And Drexel providing the platform through its experiential learning for us fits perfectly because many of us have already been professionals and are now figuring out how to add the academic components to the co-op experience, as it were. We had a gentleman at the time reach out to us on our social media club for the Drexel Veteran Association. And he said that he was in Afghanistan. He was in the lesser of services, the Army. No offense, Carlo. And he was about to leave and start school at Drexel to work on a master's degree. And he was hoping to connect with somebody. That gentleman's name was Andres Galarza. Andres started at Drexel and immediately had a community of individuals that were ready to receive him and his wife when they got to Philadelphia. He went on to become one of my best friends in the entire world. His wife is one of the best friends of my wife. They take care of our dog. If you want to kind of a reference about how much we care about each other, that all was possible because Drexel allowed us a platform to make sure that when somebody was ready to join them, that there was a community built in to allow them to succeed. So that's just one concrete example of the type of experience that Drexel afforded not just me, but many, many others.
Yeah, of course, it's not hurtful that you were talking about the Army like that. It's all right. I get it. Army, Navy, we have this sibling rivalry, right? So to speak. But all that to say, everything you're telling me, some stuff I've heard, some of it was new. I love having these discussions with you, catching up. And that actually brings me to my next point. The thing that stuck out to me the most was community, right? To be able to receive and accept folks, doesn't matter what branch, doesn't matter what background they had. Hey, you're a veteran. Hey, come on in, right? We're here for you. We have a table. We'll break bread. Um, with that, I know one of the things that you did for me too, when I worked for the city of Philadelphia, was you introduced me to a very special organization that's still around, very much involved in our local community, Action Tank. So since we go back from way back, when I started with the city, uh, if you could just tell some folks, shed some light on what is Action Tank and how is it integrated in with our Philadelphia community? What are you guys doing to give back? And are you still involved? How can people get involved with that kind of stuff in their own community? Right? How do you inspire those folks?
Sure, certainly. So, Action Tank was started 9 years ago now, if you can believe it, Carlo. And it's just sprung from this idea that veterans are civil assets. Uh, we were looking around the community and recognizing that so often the veteran experience is categorized by either hero worship or the broken veteran syndrome that needs a handout and help. And our reality just didn't meet those pole extremes of how veterans were being categorized. We knew that our diverse experience would be a force multiplier to serving as knowledge brokering amongst the biggest issues facing the community. And so we decided that as veterans, we would get together and focus on a particular mission set, about a year or change, for the biggest issues facing the city. And we would do that in a two-phased approach. One level is we know that in order to truly understand a problem, you need to go out and learn and speak to individuals who have lived experience. One of those mission sets that we chose early on was trying to address the opioid crisis that was ravaging our community. That involved us spending an afternoon in Kensington scouring the streets, picking up expended needles. Uh, you get a greater sense of appreciation for a problem when you literally have your boots on the ground, right? We took this experience and developed relationships with community leaders, and then was able to translate that to the policy and stakeholders who help make decisions about these issues. And so, from that experience, one of our team members was added to the then mayor's task force on opioids, making sure that our voice was represented where the decisions were actually happening. And so that's the approach that Action Tank has taken. There have been and continue to be a number of Drexel alumnus who were at the very beginning of that process and continue to remain involved in building that organization. And so that's the real power that Action Tank has been able to bring to bear to the community.
No, that's incredible, brother. I really appreciate what you do, and just given paying attention to what's going on in the world and how things are evolving. Uh, it's really great to see organizations like Action Tank and very like-minded individuals coming together. So really appreciate that. That said, talking about like-minded individuals, this term that we've used in the military and veteran space, tribe, right? Your squad, your platoon, whatever you want to call it, but for this purpose, tribe in the veteran space. How are you staying connected to your tribe, be it Drexel veterans or just veterans as a whole? I know you've done a lot within the veteran space, military communities, but what does your connection back to these folks and forward? What does that look like post military, during and after Drexel, and even after your time supporting the chief of staff, supporting as chief of staff?
Wow. So, you know, there are an ever-changing number of findings that the field of psychology likes to report. And those findings, they change on a host of different variables. They change because we better understand the question that's being asked. They change because society changes. One of the most enduring factors that has remained stable throughout time, and I expect will remain enduring, is the power of social connection for human development and actualization. It's through relationships we become. That's never going to go anywhere. And because of that, uh, I invest a great deal in those relationships and in that community and in that tribe that you discuss. Uh, a story here that I'm not sure you fully know, but uh, I mentioned her already, but Rebecca used to send out a very long email to student veterans every couple weeks or so with a host of different resources that were available to them. Things from job opportunities to opportunities for community service, for mentorship, and scholarships as well. And so one day I'm sitting in my home, and I get this email from Rebecca, and I'm scanning through all the different resources she's provided. And at the very, very bottom of this email is this thing called the Pat Tillman Foundation, of which I wasn't familiar with previously. I was certainly familiar with Pat's story, but not that there was a foundation that was created in his name and to honor his memory. So I look up the link, I apply, and in 2013 became the first recipient of the Pat Tillman Foundation award for a Drexel student. And yes, there were a few dollars that were provided through that scholarship. The relationships that I earned and continue to have now as a result of signing up to participate in this organization have been life changing. I would not be the person I am without that. And that started because, again, of a resource that was provided to me here at Drexel University. So that's one example of how that tribe stays strong. A more recent one in my current life now, as an entrepreneur and running a small business. I had a conversation with an organization that is in the finance world, and they do some geopolitical risk work, which is up my alley from my previous job. And as I was looking at how we might engage with them, I came across a LinkedIn post and found that the treasurer of the Drexel Veteran Association, when I served as president, a guy by the name of Michael Spina, happens to be their head of finance and marketing now, all these years later. And so I reached out to Mike Spina. I was like, hey, brother, we haven't talked in, I don't know, maybe 8 years. But would love to be able to reconnect. And there was an instantaneous, yes, of course. How do we link up? Because we had so much time together, building what ended up becoming a nationally recognized and awarded student veteran foundation organization here at Drexel. So those are a couple examples of how, again, the community at Drexel has empowered me throughout my life.
Yeah, no, that's incredible. And a case in point, as we haven't spoken a few years, let's say about 3 or 4 years. I know you got your hands full, you're a little busy. We have family responsibilities, right? And so, we operate in the same space. And just on that note, talking about connection, not just with peers, but also, you referenced Dr. Rebecca Weidensaw talking about mentorship. That's what the Dragon Network is all about here at Drexel. And so I wanted to know, uh, how has mentorship influenced your career? I know you talked a little bit about that, but if you can expound on that, and then also, do you have any tips for any dragons who are going to be leaving the Drexel University ecosystem? How can they seek meaningful mentorship?
Yeah, I alluded to this already, but it's through relationships we become. And so investing in those relationships is paramount to success. My specific experience with mentorship has evolved over the years. I came up as a child of the 80s. So, of course, I loved Karate Kid growing up. And I thought of mentorship in the traditional way of Daniel-san is seeking mentorship from Mr. Miyagi. What I've come to understand and appreciate about mentorship is that mentorship, when done right, happens up, across, and down. If you look at mentorship as an opportunity to learn from all the people in your life, you're able to take more benefit from those experiences. And so, yes, of course, someone like Rebecca, for both of us, is the paramount classic mentor. However, I've learned a great deal from you as a peer. And now I get to pay that forward for others. One of the things that we did while at Drexel that was incredibly rewarding is we actually held a session around Veterans Day with the junior ROTC program over at Penn. And so we brought some of these ROTC cadets from Penn and from Drexel to Drexel's campus. We met at the Armory and we shared with them our experience as veterans because they were about to enter into that space. All right. So mentorship worked at that way. So to me, that recognition of how mentorship can truly be maximized means both taking and receiving, but also investing and giving back.
Oh man, excellent insight. Full 360, right? Coming full circle. And yeah, I just wanted to leave it on this note. Just the last question I have for you. In parting, what would be one piece of advice you would give to all students, not just student veterans, but all students and alumni? What advice would you give to them?
Mm. Lean into your failure. In the startup world, there's this moniker of you need to fail fast. That's not what I mean at all. I'm not sure that I actually ascribe to that way of thinking. What I mean is you will learn more from showing up, trying, failing, growing, and then showing up than anything. And Drexel taught me this in many ways. I failed so much at Drexel. I failed to get into the PhD program during my first time around. I failed at comprehensive exams. I did not finish the PhD program. There were so many times in which I came up short. What I'm defined by, though, in my life and why I've been able to achieve the experiences that I have is because I've taken those experiences and tried to get better at them. So understanding this relationship with failure and not repeating the same mistakes, of course, but you don't get to do great things unless you're actually striving. And when you strive, it means you're going to come up short. And so for me, if there's any advice, my big takeaway from the experience at Drexel is that having those failures and having learned and grown for them is, in fact, what has made me who I am today.
Chris, I don't have any closing remarks. I cannot thank you enough for taking the time. Everything you said has been so profound, and it's always so great to catch up with you, brother. Um, please, if there's anything else, you know, any final words before we close out here?
Go Dragons.
Go Dragons! All right, thank you so much, Chris.
Thank you.